Before we get started, I have a special announcement. Before you do anything, go to mycore7.com, watch the video, and click the Find a Group button and put in your information. There are exclusive Core 7 networking group leaders all over the country looking for real estate, mortgage, tax, insurance, and financial professionals to fill the exclusive seats in their networking group. These territories and zip codes are exclusive, meaning once they're occupied, they're not available to anyone else. You can start your own group and own the exclusive territory by going to www.mycore7.com and filling out the form. You'll be contacted by Core 7 if the territory requested is available, so don't miss out. Just go to mycore7.com right now and find a networking group for you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel below so you can get all of the videos and updates.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Core7 Business Podcast, where we interview financial, real estate, mortgage, tax, and insurance professionals, as well as the folks that add value to their practices. We also interview successful business people and entrepreneurs. We dissect all of their habits, but most importantly, how they work with their teams. Please enjoy the show.
Okay, we got a great one for you today. We have Jay McHugh of Laer Realty, and he's been on the podcast before, and I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Jay, how are you?
Mark, I'm doing well. Happy New Year to you, your family. Thanks for having me on once again. Looking forward to it.
We're glad. Thank you for coming on. So, just for the audience, tell us a little about yourself, how you got into the business, and give us an idea of your production.
Sure. I think 8 years of age, I started selling the Boston Globe, and I could see the value of appreciating others, and I can see something called a tip, also residual income. And it always fascinated me. The more people you know, the more opportunity you can make money. Hence, going forward, real estate, everybody needs a house. And it's there for the people who can stomach the highs and lows, have thick skin. And then, moving in as you continue to grow, you meet the great people. Met my wife. We do $1 billion in sales, if not more. My team does over $20 million in sales. And I love teaching newer agents. I had an agent double his production through my training, my Grant Cardone mentorship, and from our Send Out Cards platform. And people count, numbers don't. When you focus on people, brother, you'll have an infinite amount of business. When you focus on numbers, you create what I call cement shoes, and you fall into proverbial bankruptcy. And that's a mantra I live, and I get paid millions of dollars, not yet, soon, to share that simple message. And if you look at the big places out there right now, the big three, Tesla, Facebook, Amazon, what do they all have in common? They're selling to the most people in the world today. And if people would stop and just say, if I get more people in my mortgage business, my real estate business, my consulting business, I'd have more profit. And that's what we're here to do, share some of those ideas and crank on in 2021.
Well, that's the magic. It's about people. Focus on the others, and everything will happen. Those are great numbers, and I know I'm a big Send Out Cards user. You got me into that. It's unbelievable. So let's talk about your prospecting. So where do you get all your business? What are the referral sources that you work for, and roughly what percentage from each would you say?
So that's a great question. And I, tell my audience, my peers, my agents, we're all chasing shiny objects and what's new coming down the pike, et cetera, et cetera. But yet, if you focused on what you're doing, you've built a huge business of relationships. That is where people make decisions. I have this quote, you've heard this before. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Well, not anymore. Not anymore, Mark. They do business with people they know, like, trust, and have a relationship with. Yeah. It's powerful stuff, because you could know, like, and trust me and know, like, and trust Mark. But if you have a relationship with Mark, who are you going to do business with? Mark. And therefore, I've really released myself from any of these platforms that are selling you leads and promising you this and that. I won't name names. We don't need to do that on this podcast. You might have some audience members who are vendors of yours, et cetera. But the bottom line is, people do business with people they know, trust, like, and have a relationship. Go out there, build more relationships. And it doesn't have to be belly to belly anymore. This thing called Zoom, podcast, Google Meets, et cetera, Facebook, Twitter, now this thing called Clubhouse that I'll introduce you to when it's on an Android platform. But that's where 95% of my business comes from, is relationships. And I water the plants and I pick the weeds. And it's another analogy that people say, that's a great visual, Jay. I said, yeah. I love explaining this, Mark, is that a few years ago here at my house in Littleton, Mass, I didn't shut the water off that horrible 2016 when we had snow till June. My faucet broke in the front. While I was waiting for it to be fixed, I realized that when I took more time watering the plants, I had less weeds. And when people put a sprinkler on, guess what? They're watering the plants and they're watering the weeds. When people are buying, say, third-party lender leads, real estate leads, they're taking their eyes off the prize, which is the plant, and they're spending time, energy, and effort in servicing the weed. And therefore, they're wondering why they're not growing a great garden, is because their resources and their time might not be 50%, it might be 70-30, whatever the percentage might be in your own eyes. You're spending time in the weed family instead of just in the garden with the tomato plants, with the flowers, with the crop that's going to profit yourself and your family. And that's what I've started to do, is just teach that platform extremely well. Water your plants, dismiss the weeds, and you'll be better off.
And you've always done a great job of staying in touch and nurturing your people. Do you put them all like, say, one big database where you stay in touch with people, or do you go for what I call business pillars, where you have your database of past clients and your sphere of influence, but you also have, financial advisors or builders or more, just any way that you break it up like that?
That's a great question, of course. And I think your groups, and you're the master of being able to do that, identify the 7 pillars of the people in your sphere. People listening to this call might be not at your level, or not at my level, or even beyond our level. And they would say, what nugget am I going to get? What I would say is that you don't treat LeBron James on the Lakers the same way you treat Jay McHugh on the Lakers, who's the water boy, right? And you've got to identify who are your rainmakers, who are the people who are most important to you in that pillar of success. And the reality is that we pay attention to what we pay for. I love that quote. Grant Cardone, Darren Hardy, others who have said it and echoed it, and it resonates. We pay attention to those that we are paying for. And if people are recognizing your referral resource, et cetera, they're going to pay attention to you. You don't have to give the same attention to this person that doesn't pay attention to you, that doesn't do business with you, that doesn't refer you business. And therefore, I would suggest to the audience is recognize, who do you need to pay attention to, because they're the ones who are paying for you to be successful in a positive way, through referral, through business, through testimonials, through other like-minded business practices. And that's how I build my business, is I pay attention to those who pay attention to me and help me build my business. And I don't market equally to everyone, simply because, frankly, I'd be going against what we just talked about. I'd be spending the time with potentially the weeds instead of the growing plants. And you're an example of a growing plant. I pay attention to Mark because he's a growing plant, as opposed to the 2,500 emails that I'll get over the next month telling me about how rates are low and contact me, Jay, for your preferred buyers, and I'll take care of them. Why? You haven't done what Mark has done over the last 20 years since I've known him. And it's a great example for people to spend their time in the right quadrants of business and in life, to have a better life, to have more time with family and friends, and just to prosper during this lifetime that we're in.
That's great. No, that's great stuff. So give me an idea of, like, how do you prospect for these people, or how do you nurture these people like on a daily basis? Do you have like a daily business standard where I do 5 calls, 3 pop-bys, something like that? Do you follow anything like that? Tell everybody a little bit about the day of Jay McHugh.
Oh, that's a great question. I appreciate that. It segues right into, absolutely what you do. Every day when I get up, throw the coffee on, make a cup of coffee for Stacy, let the dogs out, and I hit my computer. I look at my Facebook and I see who I can wish a happy birthday to. From there, if I find someone significant, we'll call it Mark, and I see I may have missed his birthday, I send him a belated birthday card. Then after sending him a belated birthday card, I look at my past emails, texts, and calls over the last 24 hours. I sift and sort and find the 10 people that I must send a card to within that next hour. It's now 7 o'clock. Good stuff. I check the rest of my email. I take my daughter to school. I come back. I study 4 modules of Grant Cardone University before 10 o'clock. I've done more in those 3.5 hours than most real estate agents or mortgage professionals or business associates will do, because I've become habitual in doing that. And it's just a small core of what I do. I'm not going to bore you with everything I do. I don't think the audience really cares about that, but that is exactly what I've done. Is I've appreciated, I've prospected, I've also educated. The more you learn, the more you earn. When I hear people say, I don't have time for that, Jay, I'm really busy, I have 3 offers, I don't have time for that, I'm working with 6 buyers. Well, when are you going to have time for it? Because while you don't have time to learn, you don't have time to appreciate, you don't have time to be following significant others. Once you stop being busy, you are going to be in that seesaw. You're going to be in that roller coaster, and you're not going to be building a consistent flow of business referrals, introductions, testimonials, and like-minded business acumen that's necessary to compete in this business world. And now it's 11 o'clock, and guess what? I'm flushed. I've done more than most agents will do in 24 hours, and now I can start doing the higher activities that might be belly to belly, that might be negotiations, that might be the things that pay us more handsomely. But as Brian Tracy would say, make sure you eat the frog, do the more difficult things in the morning. And sometimes, Mark, the more difficult things are the simple things that water the plants.
Right.
And that's what we need to focus on.
No, that's great. That's great stuff right there. That most people do the email first, and just the updates before they do the stuff that's really gonna bring in the business. And like you said, they fall into, I call them the peaks and valleys. You have a peak, you prospect, you do business, you close, and it then you have to go get more business after you close them all. Not in your world, which is great. So tell me about your team. I mean, I know you have a team with the real estate office, but what about your personal team? Tell me about the members, what they do, and how you lead them.
That's a great question. I don't necessarily recruit. Agents have been attracted to me to ask me, can I be on your team? Which is somewhat complimentary and humbling. Part of running the business with Stacy is just being sharp on the business team needs, whether it's the marketing department, the legal department, the accounting department, the support department. So to answer your question specifically, the team members who are on my team, we have a minimum weekly call on Thursdays, just to go over what we're doing, what we're not doing, and how I can help facilitate those holes. And the thing that I want to jump into that I think is very, very significant, I was on a podcast with a thought leader down in Atlanta this week, and she was like, this is gold, Jay, because people just don't do this. And it's called role playing. It's called anticipating the commission challenge, the rate challenge, the how many homes have you sold in this area, Jay, challenge. And people don't practice or anticipate that until it comes up. And guess what? Now they're live on a client and never have said that. Then they mumble as if they had Fritos in their mouth, and they put their head down looking at their shoes in hopes and pray that the buyer, the customer, the seller will think great of them and say, yeah, I still want to work with you. No, that doesn't happen. You have to role play. You have to anticipate the objections. You have to understand that people are Googling what are the top 10 questions to ask a mortgage officer? What are the top 10 questions to ask a listing it? What are the top 10 questions to ask a buyer agent? If you're not prepared and comfortable that the average person rate shopping, selection of a buyer or a listing agent is not doing that, then you're in la la land, because that's what they can do. And if you're prepared to be able to give them an answer, you stay in the game of this selection. Now, of course, if they've been referred to you, they don't go there. But to answer your question, my team members need that counseling to understand that, hey, they have to compete against a Mark. They have to compete against a Stacy. They have to compete against a Jay. And guess what you can do? You can do your best job by role playing with me or somebody else on the team to be able to go out and then facilitate a confidence procedure that someone says, I like it. So example, one of my teammates, he's down in Brockton. We got a listing coming up on Fort Hill in Roxbury. It's probably north of $1 million. It's a 3-family. And he said, Jay, I just need your help on this listing. I said, no problem. We're going to role play Thursday. We're going to meet with them on Friday. And this is what I want you to do to prepare for it. All set, boss. Looking forward to it. As opposed to saying, Jay, can you meet me on Friday? And he calls me on Thursday night and we go out there and we have no preparation and we do an average preparation and we do an average presentation and we come back with, oh, we came in second. You know something, Mike? Second pays the same as last.
Right.
If you're not first, you are last. And that's what I project to my team. And they love it. I mean, they love me being a little hard, but also a little soft, having some humor involved in it and saying, hey guys, Mark, sell me this pen. I know you can. I know Dan Capra can. I know Glenn Heil can. I won't name the people who can't. But guess what? When I talk to them, I say, sell me this pen. And until they can sell me this pen, they still got to continue to work on selling this pen, because essentially, oh, I wasn't prepared for it, Jay. Well, that's my point. You're not preparing yourself for the common questions that are going to be asked by a buyer or a seller. What is the difference? Remove the noun and the subject and the adverb and just put in that subject: rate, listing, price, commission. Be prepared for it. Our team does not work on commission. Someone says, what are you talking about? I said, well, I've never had a professional service fee be reduced. I see real estate agents all the time having their commissions reduced. It could be language, it could be your professional attitude, but if we're making it easier for us to look weaker in the eyes of the consumer, why wouldn't we want them to ask those questions? And that's because of my studying, my self-development, my coaching, and my recognition that I've never had a professional service fee reduced. Yet thousands of agents are having their commissions cut because there are major corporations out there that talk about commissions being cut, right?
Right.
And therefore, same in the mortgage world. There's plenty of mortgage companies out there that say, we give you the lowest rate. Mark doesn't work on a rate. Mark works on a professional approval process to obtain a home in today's competitive marketplace. That's why he has separated himself from the average loan officer in today's world.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's you got to be prepared. You got to be, it's funny. The people who aren't prepared usually come up with an excuse like, oh, I don't believe in scripts. Can't you just be real? And I'm like, it's not like a script to trick somebody or trick them into doing something. It's just being able to answer all the questions and articulate everything clearly. But it's funny that you say that, because that's the Boy Scouts. Be prepared.
That's an awesome example, because when people knock, why do people knock people successful? Because frankly, they're not successful themselves. Why do people knock people that have money? Because they don't have money. And it's easy to say. Let me ask you this question: when you prepared to ask your wife to marry you, did you not take a script called practicing, role playing, thinking about it? And I bet your wife said, what happens if Mark asks me to marry him the next 2 weeks or 2 months? Did she prepare to say, what am I going to say? How am I going to say that? I don't want to fumble this. I love this guy. We're all preparing. We're all under some type of script. It's what the people who are the amateurs, as I call it, the soft word to say something else that I won't say on this podcast, but they're not willing to put in the work to prepare themselves for a good result. And I agree with you, it's not manipulation, it's just real hard work to be able to say a joke, to sing a song, to prepare yourself to meet someone that you haven't met before because they referred to you. Is that bad?
Right.
Role playing? Hey, Jen. Hey, Lee. Nice to meet you. Thanks very much. I appreciate Carol referring you to me. I look forward to making it as easy process. I know you're coming up from Dallas. You're gonna have a little bit of sticker shock as well as the cold weather. This is exactly what happened this month. I had a referral from someone coming up in Dallas. This sticker shocked at the price. This sticker shock at the snow. But I didn't say, oh, I didn't know you didn't think about that. I prepared how I was going to say and welcome them to this area. Because you know what? Oh, they also got a 50% raise because they're working for a biotech here in Watertown. We all know that. And therefore, they made that selection to come to Watertown for the increase into the challenge or whatever. But I'm not going to fall prey to not be prepared to welcome them and become the professional that I've become by not practicing a warm greeting to make them feel comfortable.
As you know, Core7 specializes in forming networking groups and creating content designed for only the Core7 professionals. So who are they? The realtor, the mortgage originator, the real estate closing agent, the financial advisor, the estate planning attorney, the accountant, and the property and casualty insurance agent. Core7 has also created specialized courses and ebooks designed to help these professionals generate referrals and add value to their clients. Here are some examples of the content that we offer. We offer the unique sales processes of the Core7 mortgage originator, the Core7 financial advisor, and the Core7 real estate agent. These courses show the step-by-step process of each of these professionals from when a referral comes in all the way to the annual review. We have also created the 30-day mortgage jumpstart. This shows a mortgage originator the exact steps they need to do in the first 30 days as they are ramping up their mortgage business. Next is the course on how to obtain corporate accounts through Lunch and Learns. Now, this is a great way to get in front of your consumer first, while also adding value to the company they work for. There are also various ebooks that give you all the scripts, processes, and much more. So go to mycore7.com, click on courses in the menu bar, and check it out. We give you everything you need. And in the meantime, generate referrals, add value to your partners, and make a difference in the lives of your clients.
All right, Jay, this is one where I want you to give me the details. Don't give the cliff notes, just to make it real clear. This is probably what everyone's going to want to hear. Tell me about your process, start to finish, when you get a referral. Take a pick which one you'd rather. Tell me a process with a new buyer or a new seller. You tell me. Let's let the audience know. Okay, referral comes in. Here's what I do. Here's what I say. Here's the process from now until forever, because I know you stay in touch with your clients until they're not breathing anymore and don't need a real estate agent.
Sure. I think most audience listeners are probably buyer agents, or for the interest rate folks in the mortgage space, dealing with buyers it's an easier process because all buyers become sellers and all sellers have been buyers. But we'll focus on buyers right now. A buyer referral comes in, immediately I'll take down as much information from Mark, who's sent me this referral, right? And you're good, or you'd send me a whole paragraph of what's necessary. I'd process that, do a little research first, then pick up the phone and have a conversation. If I get them, great. If I don't get them, again, I'm preparing, as an example, to answer your question. I prepared not to mumble a disappointing, lackluster voicemail, right? Which some people do. In addition, again, under my Grant Cardone University training, there's many people out there, to segue, that don't leave a voicemail. And I don't want to bore you with that. I'll just recommend later who we can refer people to. You must leave a voicemail. After the voicemail, after the positive encouragement, someone calls back, and then you have a conversation with them. You don't go deep dive yet, but you explain who you are, ask them pertinent information. If you didn't have the pertinent information, get them comfortable, tell them what you're going to do. In the next few minutes, I'm going to send you over an email with my pre-buyer listing information sheet. I know Mark might have sent you one, but this is going to be mine. And it helps me understand what you're looking for. And it memorializes our conversation. Now, after I sent that email, I sent them a text. And I say, thank you very much. I hope you got the email. I'm sure you did. But feel free to call, text, or video, email, whatever your preferred method is. I look forward to working with you. I've just set a comfort level that's second to none for most buyer agents. And guess what? It wasn't very difficult to do because I've practiced it. I've owned it. It's in my DNA. And again, that's my coach, Grant Cardone, mentor, Grant Cardone, that has taught me this. Now, go to work. After you get off the phone with them, memorialize the conversation with our send out card program. You've got their address. You've got a little bit of what they like, don't like, dislike. Send them something in that form of the send out card with a couple of brown. Hey, it's been a treat to learn more about what you're looking for, Mark and family. Enjoy these treats. I can't wait till you get up to Boston where we can show you some great homes, not just online, but get you into these beautiful homes. Now, while that's going out, guess what happens? I'm doing all the other stuff. My third-party vendor, Send Out Cards, is printing it, stuffing it, mailing it. We'll say that was on Friday. They've been put on my drip campaigns of updated daily emails, which every real estate agent can do that either for free or for a high level, Real Geeks or Boston Logic or whatever website you want to pay for a little bit more robust than the simplicity of MLS PIN. And then on Wednesday, they get that unexpected card and a box of brownies in the subliminal, positive, you've been a treat to talk to. Enjoy these treats, resonates. Every time they eat a brownie, they're going to be thinking of Jay and his team, because before he or she has gotten paid, they've already sent us a gift. Wow. This is different. And this is what the client said this once. She said, yeah, we were referred to someone from the relocation and we just didn't feel that they really cared about our needs, Jay. And I'm so glad that Dollar referred us to you and blah, 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 blah. Folks, it only takes a little bit of extra to become extraordinary in the eyes of the buyer or the seller. Do not become ordinary. Otherwise, you'll fail or have ordinary results. Now, of course, fast forward a little bit. They come up, we find them a home, we treat them like gold. We super serve them. Service is senior to selling. If you focus on servicing them by allowing them to know where the local restaurants are, the good, bad, and the difference are, the easy access to a pub that they might enjoy, an IPA, etc. They're now developing a comfort level that Jay and his team are servicing them and not selling them, not looking for a commission. They're looking for a professional relationship, not just for us, but for everybody in that company. When they get comfortable and say, yep, the relocation company that we were logged into, they gave us an average person. We got a referral from somebody else from our private friendships. And this guy, Jay, and his team did an unbelievable job. Fast forwarded, I'm always sending cards and gifts during the whole process. I love this part, Mark. When I speak in front of 2,000 or 2,000 people, I say, most agents are cheap. I catch the audience. They say, don't call me cheap, Jay. And I said, well, let me give you an example. You're willing to give a $500 or $1,000 American Express card or Home Depot card to your client and build $1 billion business to a 10, 20, $100 billion business, yet you were not comfortable sending them a card and gift from your own income because you hadn't closed or sold them yet. Whereas if you were thanking them during the process before you got paid, guess who's looking at that? They are. And they're recognizing that before Jay and his team and his company made a nickel off of us, they were giving us gifts and support and suggestions and more gifts and more cards and more suggestions. So that once it finally closes, Mark, for the agents who are listening, guess what? Your agent testimonials go up through the roof because they want a reciprocity. They want to reciprocate. They want to reciprocate in kind times 10 because you were the person that unexpectedly gave them not only great service, but you were giving them something of a gift, appreciation, uplifting during that time of trepidation. And then, of course, without boring you, you put them on your drip campaigns, and you, for me, My clients get a card and a gift every 3 weeks for the first 36 months that they're here in my process. And then I slow it down to an anniversary gift and twice a year type of process. And someone looks at me and says, Jay, that's pretty expensive. I said, really? It's not the cost and the gift that was expensive. It was the cost and the gift that you didn't send that was truly expensive.
Right. That's true. Now, do you have what do you do to keep track of all the details on your clients? I mean, do you use a system? Is it pen to paper? Is it what do you do?
Great question. So everybody has their own contact databases, whether it's, some people don't even realize how good Google is and Gmail is, send out cards, whether it's Top Producer, whether it's Boston Logic. Here's a great answer. Whatever you choose, use it. Use it. Because I can't tell you one's better than the other because you might have a different need or different reason. The mortgage business can certainly be different than the real estate business. But what you need to do is use it. And when you use it, you start to recognize that you get, for an example, you're good at what you do, Mark. I've watched you, I see you. As simple it is, people won't take the time to put in a simple anniversary date on send out cards about a home anniversary or wedding anniversary. Yet the system populates and reminds you 30 days prior. Why don't people do that? Because what's easy to do is easy also not to do. And what happens, I'll do it later, Jay. I'm really busy. It's snowing out. I had a golf tournament this week and a year goes by. I can't tell you how many times in the past 36 months that people have said, Jay, I just don't understand what system you use or what you use. But I get these unexpected cards and gifts from you that have just blown me away. I'm thinking about buying a house up in the lake. Can you help me? This is a guy I co-broke with Chuck. Great co-broke. Chuck's a great agent in Newton. Guy's been watching me. I'm not looking to sell his house in Newton. I want him to stay there for years. But he's been watching me and he's been getting pictures of Ocean and Stacy and the dogs. He sees that I'm a human being. He sees that I'm up in Belmont at Lake Winnipesaukee, Lake Winnisquam, Lake Winnipesaukee. And he said, shit, Jay, I want to own a lakefront home too. Can you help me? Boom. Just got $1 million lead just by staying in touch with the buyer down in Newton, Massachusetts. You just never know where that might come from. But I can tell you the chances of that happening drop down to nil if you didn't do what we just talked about. Once you do that, as you and I both know, I like saying you're playing with the house's money. You get one of those drop in your lap transactions, professional service fees, you're flushed. You're flushed to be free to do whatever else you want to do in that year or 10 years. Yeah, I like to say this. Again, you know me well enough that I have a sarcastic tone, a humor, humble tone. People have got to get rid of their first communion money, their first confirmation money, their first bar mitzvah money, because that money that you might be saving and storing is not working for you. And if you release it into the universe, which is specific, to be terrific, you must be specific. If you release it to your specific garden of roses and tomato plants, you'll be better off than saving it at 1 or 0.5% at an interest rate at a local bank and hoping that someday interest rates go up to 10%. Frankly, you know money better than I do. If interest rates weren't up to 10%, inflation would be up to 12%. Therefore, use your money as a vehicle to make more money. Don't hold it back because it will hold you back from growing.
Oh, it's true. It's true. And the stay in touch is, I think, number one. As you know, my thing is, having the 7 professionals, and when clients buy a home, it triggers so many other financial needs. But what a lot of people don't understand, mortgage and real estate, is people will buy a home, and then a few years later, when they maybe have children or something like that, they'll go need a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
If that financial advisor is not on your team, they end up typically getting a stronger relationship with the buyer because they're considered the advisor. they might take that client who's very happy with you. They might take that client over to a different realtor or a different mortgage person that's on their team, and you're losing the deal if you're not staying in touch.
Well said. Well said. Well architectured on your part. And that is somewhat of exactly what we've talked about is build your relationships with your professionals. Those are the tomato plants. Those are the roses in your garden. And if we're focusing on those weeds or those leads that are taking up our time, you're not building a relationship with Mark or Mark Stiles or Harry Brusades or Ken Olson. Or I was just on a Zoom call with a couple of professionals, and I mentioned you because I think it's fascinating what you've built, and they were in awe with it. And guess what they said? I think we want you to have you on our next Zoom, Jay, and be the real estate professional. Oh, really? Okay, cool. Thanks. But it was an obvious they were missing that piece because they not were blinded, but they just weren't informed. You've been the informer for your audience to recognize that go build what Mark is projecting, what he's positioning, because you can't lose. And you know, it's the bottom line is people do business with people they like, trust, know, and now have a relationship with.
Yeah, you definitely need. I think everyone should have a networking group. It's a great foundation of business. And they say to me a lot of the times, they say, we don't have time. And I look at it like all in, it's about 4 hours all in. If you really have a productive one, it's 4 hours a month.
Yeah.
But you're meeting with another 6 people. Like if you had 6 coffee meetings with 6 business partners, that would probably take 6 hours. You know what I mean? So we're supposed to be meeting people. We're supposed to be having meetings, and people just aren't doing it. So let me ask you this. I got 2 more questions for you. This one is one that I know you're great at, and I know you're passionate about it. We've talked about it many times. But what do you say to someone who is interviewing other agents, or in my world, it would be who is shopping my interest rate? What is the, we'll call it a script, but again, it's just preparation. What do you say to someone who's like, Jay, I'm looking at other people, and I'm gonna choose who I think is best. What's your elevator pitch, or how do you handle that?
Thank you. My ears are burning because my phone is blowing up. So I know you've pushed this out to 1 million of your followers. So thank you very much. Teresa, you'll have to wait. Hold on a second. Great question. And I love that you asked it because I too was not nervous, but ignorant. I like to be humble. I can criticize my ignorance because I wasn't prepared to answer that question. And through my Grant Cardone University training, meeting the man, spending time with him down in Miami, etc., it is amazing that you've got to understand who you are, what your worth is, etc. And the easy, quick answer for your audience is to say you can shop other people, you just don't get Jay McHugh. And if you choose to go somewhere else, keep in mind you don't get Jay McHugh. And if you believe that you are who you are and you are what you can bring to that table, then there's no manipulation. There's no arrogance. There's no, unbelievable, arrogant confidence. It's you just don't get Jay McHugh. And I learned that from Grant Cardone when Grant Cardone was talking. And he said, some guy was trying to tell me that, he wanted to buy this for this and this and this. And he didn't want to pay anything over invoice. And he agreed with them. Number one rule in anything is to always agree. You can't win somebody over if you begin by disagreeing. Doesn't mean you go against your morals. I don't want to get too deep into it. It's not fair for the audience because I'm sure they're spinning right now. But the point is you agree to put them on a platform that you can have a conversation. And at the end, he showed him the bill. He says, Grant, I told you I didn't want to pay over invoice. He said, you're not. The invoice for this truck is $30,000. The taxes is $2,500. Me is $2,000. What do you mean me? Well, you get me. You get me if there's a problem. If you go down the street, you do the exact same thing, you take away the $2,000, you don't get me. And when you have a problem with that truck, you can't call me. Now, if you believe you're not going to have a problem, then fine, go down the street. But I know you will have a problem. Everybody has a problem when they buy a brand new truck, brand new home, brand new interest rate, doesn't matter. But you get me, and that is not negotiable. And now here's a follow-up question that you may not have asked. How did I do that so well? I practiced. I role played. I believe in it. If someone wants to go somewhere else, I don't blame you. I agree with you, Mark. Best of luck to you. You're not going to fight for me? No, because I know if you go there, you don't get me. And this is what you get when you get me. And it's not taking phone calls at 11 o'clock at night. It's not, going over and doing a, smoke inspection at 6 o'clock in the morning because it's in need. It's none of that stuff. It's you get me when we get down to the nitty gritty for the negotiations and the wherewithal of whether accepting or rejecting an offer, holding out, recognizing, should we do this, should we not? You don't get me if you go with them. And for the audience, if you believe strongly in yourself, or maybe you don't believe strongly in yourself, you've got some good homework under this blizzard conditions here in New England right now to go practice it. Because I guarantee you, you don't get Mark and his staff in his nearly 30 years of mortgage experience if you go to bankrate.com. If you go to dingdong.com, you don't get him, but you do get them. And good luck to you getting to the closing table without losing your deposit. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, and they get your network, they get all your resources that you've vetted for them. If they ever need somebody, a plumber or electrician, you got to convey that value, and you have to convey it with confidence. That's a big lesson right there. All right, so tell me where the J McHugh machine is going. Tell me. We'll wrap it up and then tell where are you going in the future, and how can people reach you?
Well, we like to push the envelope. Stacy and I have a goal of 6,000 agents in the next 5 years. We'll probably have 22,000 apartments under control through our trust fund and our other partners that we work with. The imagination of being able to do that. Some people would say those are lofty goals. Well, and if you don't set those goals, you most likely are not going to hit them. And our thought process, I'll leave you with this example from my friend Grant Cardone. If someone says, I want to make $100,000 a year, and they make 96, most people would give them an A+. Not bad. If you have a goal of making $1 million a year and you make, $670,000, well, looks like you got a D. But guess what? You made nearly 7 times more than the guy who had a $100,000 goal. So the reality that I've learned from Grant Cardone is pushing your activities, pushing your thoughts, pushing your network 10x over the day before, the month before, the year before. So that's where our goal is continuing to push health, happiness, helping other people become paper millionaires and cash millionaires. And if anybody, I love saying this, if anybody wants to reach me, certainly they can Google me. A lazy man's way of reaching me is 617-699-7442, or by email jay@jaymchugh.com. And I'm an open book. I love getting calls from your audience, whether they're from Australia, New England, California, and giving them a little pump up from the neck up and saying, go out there and crush it. You have one life, go live it. 86,400 seconds in a day. Don't waste a second. And I'm looking forward to seeing you have some massive success in 2021 for you and your family, Mark.
Jay, thank you. Always a pleasure having you on the show. We're definitely going to do it again. Maybe next time we'll go into some real specifics on one subject so you can really dig down. But again, I thank you, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mark. Cheers.
Thank you for staying with us to the end. Before you shut down, I just want to remind you again to subscribe below to our channel and go to mycore7.com and click Find a Group. As we said earlier, Core7 has created groups all over the country, and the group leaders are looking for members. If you want to start your own group, you can also do that by going to mycore7.com and clicking Start a Group. If that territory is available, Core7 will reach out to you. Remember, Core7 territories are exclusive. Once a zip code or territory is taken, that's it. They're no longer available unless approved by the leader. So go there now and find a great networking group for you. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel below so you can get all of the videos and updates.